Hey guys, this is Chodaros, and today's tutorial will be on this bracelet named the Helios or Helios bracelet. It was designed by MsLoom, so it takes the appearance of, maybe it makes me think of a watch. So you have a 3 bar pin setup for the sides, and then in the center we use all 7 pins. So it's a full 7 bar pin setup, but mostly just for that center. So the bling that was added by MsLoom, I have done the same, which is strings of beads, which after the intro I will bead a string with you. So that is added to the sides, and you can definitely add a charm in the center. So as I never use green, I decided to this time because I was thinking I might want to make this into a watch, which I think would look really nice. And I have a couple more charms which I show you at the end, but and this is a brooch. So definitely have some options. And at the end of your looming, and you take it off the loom, and if you are not happy with the bling that you placed, these are not loomed into the bracelet, meaning you can cut them out and it will not cause the bracelet to fall apart. So this is my rendition that I do in the tutorial. This is the first one I did, which when I usually practice, color isn't I don't look at it for color. So with this one, it gives a more straight line appearance. And I used 4mm beads all the way around. And in this one, I used, this is a 6mm, and these are 4s, and then spacers, so you have a variety of size. So if you like this appearance better and you like the squareness, you might want to stick with a 4mm size bead. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on one string. And so just playing around with colors. These are all the 600 pack bands from Rainbow Loom, and it still comes out nice and thick. And this one is really thick because I used all opaque bands. Was mostly playing around with color when I did this one. And I did this one on one loom. Okay, so let's grab our supplies and let's get started. Okay, well, I forgot to have I'm missing one strand, if you will, of my beaded part of the bracelet. You're supposed to have 10, and I only had 9, so I'm going to go ahead and just do this one with you guys. So, like I mentioned before, I'm not sure if these are, I believe they are seed beads, but they're just silver, and they have a large hole opening, if I can find it, for this size of a bead, which that's what makes me believe that it might be a seed bead. So I'm not going to pull anything onto the band. I'm just going to string everything first. So first I have that, and then I have this rondelle spacer. And then I add my glass pearl. And then I add my center, which is a 6mm. Not sure the name, if it's another rondelle type of a bead. And then we go backwards, so we take the green pearl, and then the spacer, and then your 6/0 seed bead is what we're going to name it. Okay, so we have everything in line. So I usually kind of stick my finger in, or you can put this on the end peg of your loom, but you kind of just want to stretch it just a little because everything fits nicely. So it's already on, and we're just sliding it down. So I have a piece of the rubber band out, so I can take this out, as it's better to use my finger. And every time you want to move these beads, stretch that band. Okay, so you just want to center it so you have the same amount of band on both sides. And because we have so many beads on one band, we just have a tiny opening, but when you stretch it, you see we have room to add it to the pegs on the loom. Okay? Okay, so you're going to need a 7-pin bar setup. As always, we are going down one peg into a V shape. So this is your lowest peg. Just bring each one up one peg up from the last. And this is how I have mine. I'm going to lift up the camera so you can see my setup. So this whole design is basically 3 pin bars, except right there, right around here, that's where we're going to have our center loomed out of the design. So you want to have just a little bit more security there when you're setting up your. All right, let's get started. Oh, well, I'm sorry. One more thing is make sure that your second band that we're placing is a durable stretchy band, because it has a long stretch to it. Okay? All right, I'm going to be using metallic silver for my border. So you're just going to take this out to the 2 outer pegs, and then we're just going straight up, and MsLoom suggests going up 8 times, but for me, 8 for the band part was a little bit too short, so I'm going to take mine up 9. So again, it's suggested to go up 8 pegs before we start the big center, but I'm personally am going up 9. So that's counted from the these pins here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to put my band there just so I know. And then I can take it back off, put this 8th one, and then 9. And everything that we do on the beginning of our loom is mirrored on the opposite side. I know it probably might not make sense yet, but you'll see what I'm saying in a second. All right, so once you get your border bands in place, this is the time that we're going to border the center part. So we're just simply going to go out to the outer pin bar. I'm going to pull it down so you guys can see. And then we're going to go up 3. So that's 1, 2, 3. And then the same as we just did over here, we're going to take it in 2. And then you just continue going up the desired number of pegs you went up in the beginning. So again, I went up 9 pegs in the beginning, so I need to go down 9 pegs on this side as well. So the count starts from the part where you come in from your center. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have 2 more to go. Okay, so then we just repeat that on this side. So then it's out 2, and then it is up 3, and then into, and then up, for me, 9 pegs. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did I count correctly? Probably not. Nope, I'm already there. Okay, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have used silver. It's probably hard to see. So, out of 2 looms in length, from, I can try to do a whole shot. Okay, it's this size, and you can see the center. The center is extremely important to have exactly the same because you need to have 3 pin bars next to your outer bar pin. You need to have 3 pins in order for it to, band placement to be correct. Okay, so that is our border. So our next band is going to make an arrow shape. Okay, so that one you want it to be a stretchy band. I'm going to be using, I believe they're, I want to say like a neon jelly green, just a very light green, came in like a mixed pack. So this is a simple step, just going from every outer pin to the center. So you go up 1 to the next center, up 1, you can either go up one side and come back and do the other, or do them both at the same time. All right, so your last one, you want to, the center will be right inside of your middle design, the middle of the big circle, like that. Now, which I didn't do this correctly the first time that I made this bracelet, so I want to put some attention to it. When MsLoom says you need to mirror the design, that means you don't keep going in the same direction, you go in the opposite direction, okay? So it doesn't matter if you start at the end of your loom or if you start right here, because there are no overlapping bands, but point into the circle, and then on this side, point into the circle. Okay, so this way, you're going from the center to the outer pegs, which when I first did this, I just kept on going with the same pattern and really didn't catch on to the definition of mirror. So don't have too many to do because we're going only up the 9 pegs. So this part is complete, and your last one should hit where your last bands on your border are placed. This would be the time that we would want to place our bling bands. Okay, so if you need to pause, we need 10. You need 10 bling bands. Now, I always do my tutorials and then I go back and do my intro, so I probably already mentioned this, but I try to use a long bead. I have a bead that has like 6 holes in it, and I thought, well, I'll just put long beads. It didn't look nice at all. I had to rip them out. So that's why I am mimicking MsLoom's and doing the one that she kind of made up to. All right, so we're gonna start here on the second peg, and the goal is to stretch this past 2 pegs and put it on 4th the 4th peg. So I'm going to take my hook, because this is a small hole here with the band, and we're taking it past 2 pegs, and it's okay if it stretches out your beads, and we're going to put it on this peg here. So it's on the outside of this border. You want to push it down, and you can kind of put all your bling together like that. Okay, and I always use clear jelly when I can, because it's the best band to bead or to thread, and you can't see it. So then we do another one, starting on the pin we just left off with. We put the one end on that peg, and then we skip 2, and then we place it on the 4th peg, right like that. And if you have to, you can kind of move your bling in the center. So once we take this off the loom, these will come together. Okay, so we want to do, I'm just going to do one side, and then you guys can go ahead and do the opposite side. So once you have 2 on the one part coming up, we want to do the same exact on this circle part. So you start, your first band is, we're coming out. We did the 2 diagonal bands to the outer pin bar. You want to start there, and then we had to place 3 bands, or we went up 3 times, so we just go to the end of that circle and place it there. And then the next band is the one that's going towards the center. Okay, so we just place 1 on the circle part, and then we do the exact same on this part. So I'm going to start on this peg right here is where it ends on our last. So you want to go, this is where your circle's coming in, and this is the first peg where it starts going straight. So you want to start on that 2nd peg and stretch it down past 2 pegs. And then the peg that we just left off is where we start for our next. And then it should end up where we are 1 peg from the end, which that is our end there. Okay, so this is what your one side, oops, should look like. So I'll go ahead and go offline, and we'll finish up and do the same on the right side, and then we'll meet back. All right, so now we are going to add another arrow type. So it's going to go from the center down, and then again, or you can do from outside up, but from the 2 sides to the middle peg. Okay, we're going to do this up our border until we reach the center part. So you are putting this band on top of that beaded band, but always know that if you are not happy with your bling when your bracelet is taken off the loom, that the good thing is that we're not looming our beaded band. You can simply pull and cut it out of your bracelet. That's kind of why I never put my bling in and loomed it. Keep making sure you push these bands down, because we have a couple more to go on top. Ooh, that's a thin one. All right, so our last one is going to be where we have our large V end. We're going to go out, and then that connects to the beginning of our circle. I think I just want to go a circle. Okay, so make sure all of these are pressed down, especially your centers. And we have another to add. And then we're going to move on to the other side. So now we're going to go from the second pin in the center out and out. So we don't start from the first pin because our border is already in that. All right, so then we go up and we want to do it again, just starting with the center going out. And so then it kind of closes up that arrow into like a diamond. I'm using 2 different colors. Obviously, you can use one. Make sure you press down that center because we need to add cap bands now. So we have one more, which goes to the same pegs where that one ended, where your circle begins. So the next step is just to add a cap band. I'm pretty sure that they're, let me see, I'm pretty sure they need to be, yep, they're supposed to be triple cap bands on these pegs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my green color, and I'm going to add them. So I'm just going to add 1, 2, 3. This is how I'd prefer to do a triple cap band. And add it on. And you want to add it to every peg except this one here that starts inside of your circle. You don't want to put it on the last one there. All right, so let's move down here. I'm just going to show you a little bit as it's different. So our first color, our first band that we laid on the opposite side, mine was the Sweets Black. You want to take it and we want to do the opposite that we did down on that side. We started out going in an arrow shape. Now this one we start out coming down. Okay, so you're just gonna do that all the way up until the end. And then once you're finished with that, again, you want to come back with your next color or your next band and create the diamond. So now we had one band going that way, now we have this band going this way, which makes like a diamond shape. So that's what you do there. And we do that to the end. And then once again, when you're finished with that, you want to do a triple cap band and place it on every center peg, starting with this one here. This one is in the circle. Leave that one blank. Start there. So when we are completed adding these, we will meet back and we get to start our center part of the bracelet. Oh, I have to apologize. There is one thing I did forget to do, which was at the end of this end side to bring in your border bands. So I apologize. I hope it's not difficult to take off if you added some bands. So it has to come into the V, and we already placed our long stretch bands, so I just kind of put them on the center. And now I want to take the one and put it on that peg, and then on that peg there. And now I can add the rest of my bands, which is this band going first, and then this band going second. Then I need to add 2 more cap bands. I apologize for that. I think I was too busy making sure I went up the correct amount of pegs. Alright, so now that we are finished with all of that, this is the time that we start our center part of our bracelet. Okay? Alright, so you're just kind of doing little V's and kind of half starbursts as the pattern. So the first band that we're going to lay is going to be, I'm going to use the same color as I used on the zigzags. So I'm going to use this ivory. We're going to put from where that point is to the up 1 peg, and then where this point is on this side, and put a band there. Okay, so now this is the only color that is not in this part of the bracelet. MsLoom uses a different color, so I'm going to use this. I don't know if it's considered army green, but it's opaque, but it's the only one I could find that matched my beads. So we're going to go to, we'll start down here on this side. So right next to the band that we just placed, this band right here, we want to go to the next one in line and go up 1 peg, and then where we left off, we want to take it and go diagonally to the left. So both bands end up on the border of our circle here. So we want to do the same thing on this side, go up. So it is from our center band, go over to the right, and then where we left off, and place a band going back down. Again, they're both on the border. So then you want to come up here and do the same thing on this side. So go to the left of your middle band there, place 1 there, and then diagonal out, and then 1 here, and then diagonal out. Okay, so all the other colors, at least of what I'm going to be using, are the same colors I've used in my bracelet. Okay, we have 1 more band placement. It's going to be a V. So when you come over to the side, the end peg here, go in 1 peg, you have 3 pegs here. You're going to go into the middle one and just place a band out diagonally, go back to the same peg and place a band out. And that is going to come out to where the 2 bling, where your bling is, the 2 pegs that we skipped, that's where that area goes. So here's our bling bands, we skipped these 2, and that's where we need to place our V bands. Okay, so I hope I can help with colors. That was confusing to me, so if you see me going off camera, it's because I have to figure out where to put what. So the next color in line will be possibly whatever color you used for your zigzag bands. So I'm going to use the ivory. So we're just going to do maybe a half a starburst kind of a shape. So we're going to start out. So let's see here. This is where our circle pattern has come out to. So you want to come in 1 peg. So right where this last band that we placed ends. So we want to go in, or go up 1, and then we want to go to that same peg and go diagonally. Now that's out to the border, and then we want to take it up another, and that puts it by our bling. So if you can see, what we just did was we incorporated these bands, so now they all will connect. And we're going to do that in every corner. So again, we want to come down a band, and then we want to go out to the corner, and then we want to take it diagonally towards our bling. So then again, we come down, take it to the corner, and then diagonal bling. And there's no bands that go right here. So there. And it is extremely important that you place the bands in this order in order for it to loom up correctly. Okay, so we just did all 4 corners. All right, so our next band placement will be like just a zigzag pattern on both sides. And then after that starts our large starburst type shape. So you want to go from, all right, here is our center from our like our strap coming up. So you want to go over to the next pin, okay? So we're going to place a band going up, and then a diagonal, and then another diagonal, and then a diagonal back to the center, a diagonal back where we have the corner, and then from that corner back to where we started off, like that. Okay, so we went up to the corner, and then we went back here, and then went to this band, zigzagged in the center, out, and then back to that center there. Okay, so we will do the same on this side here. So we go up, and then we go out to the corner, and then we go back to the center right here, and then diagonal out, and then diagonal in, back out, and then we match up right there. Okay, so I hope I'm doing an okay job explaining. It's really not difficult, just maybe a little bit explaining. Alrighty, so now we start our center part, and we're just going to make a large starburst. So this color for me is my dominant color, which is my light green going down my wristband part. So we're going to be working out of that single pin. We should have one pin in the center that doesn't have any bands on it, and we're going to start here and pull a band to the far right. So it's going to be a long stretch, and then we're going to come back to the center peg and pull another long stretch to the inside, and then go another stretch diagonal, and then we're not going to put one straight down, we're just going to do another diagonal, and now we can put one straight across. It's a long stretch, and then our last one will be a diagonal up. Okay, so it's we started and just went clockwise, diagonal, straight, diagonal, diagonal, straight, up. And then we just have one last band placement and we will be finished. And so this one, I'm going to make it the same color as I made my corners. Okay, so my corner bands aren't the colors I used in my straps, they're the color that match my beads. So if that's something you're interested in. So we're going to go back again from that center where we started our large circle burst, and we're going to place a band going, oopsie, I'm sorry, we start going to the corner. So we just place, and we're going to make a smaller burst. So we go out there, and then we go down a pin, and then straight up, and go on the next pin in line, and then the next one. So you're just doing a complete circle, and then we end there going straight. And then again, we want to put a triple cap band in the center, which I'm going to use that same color. Make sure those beads are pressed down. And there we have it. We are all done placing our bands. So let's grab our hook and we can turn our loom. So do a quick view, especially of that star. So let's turn it around. And the first thing that we're going to loom out is going to be the center. And then the last thing we loom out will be our straps. So we want to go back in to where we just placed that cap band, and we want to actually loom out that small center burst. Okay, so the top band should be the one that we placed that goes straight down. So as we normally do, we just want to follow that, making sure that it's making teardrop shapes and not grabbed, you know, it's the right one in line. And everyone gets looped back to itself. Oops. My last one, like that, okay? All right, so then our next step is to loom out the large, or I'm sorry, not the large one. Our next step is to loom out the zigzag bands that we placed coming down. So I'll do this side first because you can see better. So all of them will be loomed out from the center where we placed them, and they're all going to be going out, if that makes sense. So I'll start here at the end, and mine are silver. So I'll put that one there. Then I've got two on this peg, so this one comes back down here. And this is the last band on that peg, so this one goes out. And then we go up another, and I've got two bands on that peg. Loom that one back to itself, and then that one back to itself. Actually, we have the third one like that. So when we place that zigzag, that is all the bands in that zigzag pattern. Okay, so we want to come over and do the same thing on this side. So our first band starts going out to the side. So we're just going underneath the little starburst band and grabbing this one on top. Back to itself and go into the next peg. And that one gets loomed back to itself. Okay? So now that we have loomed out those, it's time to loom out our large starburst. So we want to go into that center peg again and make sure that you grab the top band. So this top one, let me make sure. I'm not thinking that's the right. I'm just going to circle this, make sure all my bands are straight. This one is my top band. And then I go to the side and then diagonally up. And it should go in a counterclockwise fashion. And then that one back down to itself. So we want to make sure we push all these bands down. And so our next bands in line to loom are going to be these corner bands. Okay, so maybe I start up and do this corner first. Just make sure that you are looming them in order and they're not catching on to any other band. So that's one corner. Come down and do I forgot to loom that one. Yikes! This bracelet is just a tad difficult to explain. MsLoom did really good sending me her pictures. I'm just gonna take this one off. I hope you guys figured that one out. So super sorry. Yikes. I'm trying to figure out what I did. Oh, I'm sorry. I did do it correctly. Gosh. Bear with me, guys. That is the... Oh, no, I didn't. Okay. Now I do this band. Okay. Now I can go in and loom out this corner. There we go. All right, and then we just have these two sides to do. So essentially the whole goal is to loom everything out from the center to the outside. So if you did it correctly, there shouldn't be any bands that are pulling. They should all be perfect little teardrops in some way, shape, or form. So one thing that I will bring to your attention, with this large circle here, we want to make sure that all of our bands are where they are supposed to be and not overlapping. So I'm just going to take my hook, and if any of them are overlapping, I want to make them straight. So you have your little center starburst, and then you have your large one. So you want the large one to be in the center, and then you have like these side bands here. They can get all kind of crossed. So you want to make sure, because when you're finished, you'll be able to see them crossed. So if you just take a second, and just straighten them out. And that way, see, like this one is over. I'll have to take it off of it. Just push those in like that. And now everything will be nice and neat. Okay? So then our last step is to go ahead and loom out. We have a corner, and then the ones we have up. So I'm going to start and do, I have to put it down, I'm sorry. So you're going through a lot of bands. And this one goes out towards our bling, and this should be the last band on that peg out to the border. And then we have one that we placed down this way. So we're going to go in, and that band comes out diagonally, and then this band comes out straight down. And then I'm going to go ahead and do this next one in line here. And that way we can go ahead and start when that's done, when we want to start that side of the band. So again, straight across we have another set. That's a lot of bands you're going through. believe I skipped one. Goodness gracious. I skipped this one here on this side. So I'm sure you guys can figure this out. All right, so we should have just one more to do. We have two more. And then I'm going to do the center one, bring that down, and then we just have these two left over here. And then we will be done with our entire center part of the bracelet. Okay, we are finished. That is our center, and if you flip it and look at it from the side, you just want to kind of make sure you don't see any bands hanging on any of these center pins. If you have any bands down there, then you need to fix it, because we should have everything should be reaching the perimeter band, and that way when we go to loop up the perimeter, we lock it in. So just go ahead and make sure you don't have any bands hanging loose. So looming up the straps or the sides is fairly standard. We're not going to do this one because that's our border. So we're going to start in the center pin underneath that triple cap band and grab the first one on top and bring that up and then up. So we want to do those bands all the way first. We don't want to go into this and do this one. Just go up and do, as we place them all first. Okay, so I'm going to loom up this side with you, and then I'm going to let you guys start, and you can complete the other end, the other strap, if you will. I'm trying my hardest not to make this tutorial a million minutes long. Oops. Band on top. Uh-oh, that one came above the cap band. Oh, can you... I hope you guys are laughing with me and not at me. Goodness gracious. Okay. If you're an advanced loomer, I'm sure you can understand that our next step is to loom out everything in order under the cap bands, so you can probably go ahead and get all of that taken care of. I used the wrong color right there. Oh well. Alright, so that's our last one. That's where our perimeter for our circle start. And then you come back down, and we want to do the opposite band. So that one is the last band on our center pegs, okay? On every other one, I should say. So you have your long stretch bands. I forgot. They're, goodness gracious. I'm trying my hardest to hurry. Okay, so this would be our last one, going out to the sides, like that. And the last step is to loom out the zigzag, or the long stretch bands, and they're going to be loomed out from the center to the border. Okay, so just go under and grab the top one, bring it back to itself, and then on this side. Okay, so remember, when I'm done doing this band, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys do the entire other side. So if you need help, you just simply have to rewind, and I would suggest you could even turn your loom around, and it will be the exact same process as we are doing right now. So always as normal, as we're traditionally, all bands should be to the border. There should be no bands on any center pegs. So when we loom up our border, we are closing the bracelet up. So this is our last one. And that's it. That's how we're going to loom up the other side, okay? So I have all faith in you. If you want, you can start. It doesn't matter where you start. You can start here. Well, I guess you'd have to start here because your pegs are facing that way. So you just do like we did before. We're just going in and grabbing the first band on top in each peg. Okay, so go ahead and let's loom up this side, and then after that will be our border. So you could go ahead and do that. I'll meet back here just in case, but let's get this loomed up first. Alrighty, so this is what your loom should look like. Everything is loomed except our border, so I'm just going to do a couple bands because we should all know how to loom up a border. Okay, but you just got to make sure that the band that you're grabbing is the last band on the peg. If for any reason it is not the last band on your peg, be sure that you put your bands in order because your bracelet will fall apart. So you're going to loom up all of this and then follow the yellow brick road around your circle and come down to the end. And I didn't add one this time, but it is the normal closure where you're just going to stick that band in to capture the end. Okay, so let's go ahead and loom up our border and pull it off the loom, and then we'll meet back and see what we got. Alrighty, so here is our finished bracelet. I took a huge step today and used green. I don't ever use green, and it's okay. I wish I wouldn't use the dark green in the center. I like that. So hopefully you are happy with your bracelet. And the reason that I did green was because I have this watch head that I have not used, and I've had it for over a year, So I was thinking that if possible, I would make this a watch because it has that watch look to it. So that's what that would look like. And then I found a couple other charms. I think this one would look pretty on it as well, so it would match the other bling. And then if I really wanted to doll it up, I have I believe it's more of a brooch because it's a pin, and then that would fit nicely on there as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. I apologize if it was a little disorganized. I hope you were able to follow. So please make sure that you hashtag myself and MsLoom on Instagram to show us your renditions. And stay tuned. We've got a lot more coming. So thanks for watching. Bye-bye.